Thanks for tuning in to the Jim Heath podcast. Today, a frank discussion about Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and the 2024 presidential election. Now, here's Jim.
Welcome to the podcast. Just flipped on the camera, no script. That's how I tend to do these random podcasts. But the first podcast that I did on Joe Biden and his cognitive issues was back in January. And at that time, I was worried because I was seeing some of the same signals in Joe Biden that I had witnessed in my mother, who I took care of. I was her primary caregiver as she walked the path of dementia for a decade. And there's a lot of similarities. The shuffled walk. I'll tell you, the bells first went off for me when they announced that Biden would no longer walk up the steps of Air Force One, which every president has done, including Reagan, who was the oldest president up to that point in the 1980s. When they made the decision to take those steps out of the mix, bells started going off in my mind because that is not a good sign, that they no longer trust the old guy to be able to navigate the stairs of Air Force One. And then, sort of the confused look. There was this incident at a press conference.
All the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary, I'm not sure I'm going to introduce you all the way. But all kidding aside, Secretary Mayorkas.
I mean, what did he say? I'm not trying to be mean here by any means. I covered Joe Biden in 2008. I covered him in 2012 when he was vice president. Joe Biden is a nice, decent guy. This crime family stuff is just partisan malarkey. Is that a word? I don't know if that's a word or not. But I will tell you that Biden that I covered in 2008 and 2012 doesn't exist anymore. I mean, the person that I see now is just, again, not to be mean, but I've been around plenty of retirement homes in my career. And he just seems to me that maybe he'd like an ice cream and like to, shuffle around the front of the facility. That's what he strikes me as. And I can't believe that I'm alone. And I know I'm not alone because the polling shows that I'm not alone. People saw what they saw. They saw this.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
And they tried to spin that awful, the worst debate performance I've ever seen. And I've been around 40 years worth of politics, 40 years plus maybe, because I was a kid and I enjoyed it. But who's counting? The Biden people spin that as he had a cold. That was the first spin. Remember, he had a cold and then he had too many answers given to him and it was just all jumbled up in his brain. I mean, come on, man.
Come on, man.
The fact is he's 81. He's slowing down. He is not the same guy, as I said, that I covered in 08 and 12. And this new president needs to be checked. He needs to be looked at because he's president of the United States and he's running for another 4-year term. And so all of the Biden supporters, you can blast me and the New York Times and the Washington Post and all the journalists. It's the same thing that MAGA does on the right. And if you're a MAGA fan watching this, enjoying this, you know that you do. So now all of a sudden the left is doing it. Ignore the old man behind the curtain that you saw there in the debate. We don't know who that is. I mean, my God, it's the presidency. You'd think that a political party would have some responsibility. You'd think that Joe Biden, ultimately at the end of the day, and Joe Biden loses this election and Donald Trump returns for whatever havoc he's going to unleash on America in the next 4 years and the people around him and the judicial appointments he's going to make, thousands and thousands of judges who are now going to know the country likes Trump. So the judges are going to be much Trumpier. So, look, Joe Biden's going to be to blame. I'm not going to feel guilty, as a journalist for reporting on an obvious cognitively challenged incumbent. That's my job. The American people need transparency, even if this administration won't give it. So, at the end of the day, if and when Biden loses, and you can check out my latest electoral college map forecast by clicking up here. But when he loses in November, and maybe Democrats lose both the Senate and the House, and Trump has all the levers of government, that's going to fall on one person, Joe Biden's decision that, you know what, I'm going to do a miracle. Or as he might say, I mean, I'm not being mean. That's the best. Millions and millions of Americans, millions of Democrats, and that's the best Democrats can offer against Donald Trump. He's the incumbent president, so, you know, we go down with the ship, sort of like the Titanic. Joe Biden is the Titanic of presidents. He's going to have all this money. People are going to talk about, oh, he can remain competitive. I'm looking at the data right here. This is what I do. I've done it for 40 years. This data in Pennsylvania in particular, if he can't win Pennsylvania and its electoral votes, he has no chance of getting to 270. He can't win without Pennsylvania. And right now, he's as behind in Pennsylvania as he is in Georgia and Arizona. Democrats know that. Of course they do. And yet he's the president. So, you know, the Titanic must sail. And just because Trump is the iceberg that we all know is going to wreak havoc on every future ship that happens to go by, you know, it's awful. It's just, you know, I've been an independent voter now since I got into broadcasting in 1999. And I got to tell you, I'm so uncomfortable. I'm so disappointed and so uncomfortable because basically what Democrats are telling we independents is that, well, you know, he might not know where he's at on any given day. And certainly he's not going to be able to finish a 4-year term. I mean, a year from now would be questionable based on my own experience being around my mother for a decade with dementia. I don't think Biden is going to go another year where he can get away with saying he's in control. He might, as he has for the last year, he might not have press conferences where it's evident, but there will be a moment where it will be evident to everybody. And so Democrats are asking independents, like, well, you know, he's not the best we got, but, you know, it's Trump. It's Trump. You know, that's Trump over there. So stick with us. I mean, really, that's the bumper sticker. He's not Trump. Stick with us. I mean, seriously, people. I know that there are other independent voters out there that are just beside themselves. I mean, this is, we knew that this was going to be bad. We knew that the rematch was going to be bad to begin with. It was going to be tough to handle. But now we have a really weakened Joe Biden in the rematch. And it appears with all the data that I've looked at, and I know Democrats, I know the Biden team, I know they've all looked at it, there is no miracle coming up. You know, George Bush in 1988 was 17 points behind Michael Dukakis at the time of the Republican convention. And in the fall, he flipped that around. That's the one example I can kind of give Biden supporters here is that Bush came back. But you know why Bush came back? Because Bush was a war hero. He seemed energetic. He had amazing debates against Michael Dukakis. And Dukakis was terrible in those debates. And Bush managed, thanks in large part to Ronald Reagan still being really popular, he managed to pull off a third term for Republicans. Only time in our lifetime that's happened. That the same party has won 3 presidential elections in a row. Bush pulled that off. But I'll tell you what, this debate coming up in September, Biden's not going to pull that off. He might be better, you know, but that bar is really, really low. He's going to, I'll play golf with you and, Medicare. I mean, again, I don't mean to mock him or make fun of him, or maybe I do in some way, but really?
Come on, man.
That's how you're going to get momentum back in this race when you know that you're behind, going into your convention where you could make a change, where you know that you could save this potentially. And instead you're going to float us on the Titanic. And you think that the debate in September, somehow Biden comes out of his cognitive decline, which is impossible. There is no medicine on earth that can restore memory or restore some kind of fluid thoughts to your mind where you can come up with a quip or a little joke or a reaction. There's nothing available that can do that. And so come September, your big moment that's going to put Biden back in the momentum is him in another debate where he doesn't look like he's about to fall asleep, but he's, And come on, man. I mean, it is what it is. Both parties now digging in. If you're not with them, you're against them. I've been amazed at the response from the left as they begin to coalesce around Biden and try to make everybody forget the reality of what's going on. And they're just as brutal. They've all canceled their subscriptions in the New York Times and the Washington Post. CNN now is an enemy. Your friends who have been with you, 90% of the time, 80% of the time, now just like MAGA, if you're not 100% with Trump, you're dead to them. And now we discover progressives and not really progressives, but Biden supporters, Democrats, Biden supporters. They're the same thing. You're either 100% with us or you're against us. So all that time we've been reporting on Trump. We've been trying to warn people about Trump, pointing out what he says and what he does, because we believe it still matters what he says and what he does. Even if the American people had tuned him out and that doesn't matter to them anymore, the press has still been doing that. But because you dare suggest that Joe Biden, I mean, come on, that's acceptable, you're dead to them. So here we are, independents, on a little island. And we have both sides who hate us, both sides who have given us candidates that are from hell, and we're being asked to choose. The Biden people make a good case, I think, that Donald Trump is worrisome because of the people around him and sort of what they'll be doing. The people back in government who are MAGA. That's a concern. What did they do to the FBI? The FBI is the only agency protecting us from domestic terrorism. They're constantly monitoring all of this chatter that's going on in social media these days. When Timothy McVeigh attacked the Oklahoma City federal building, McVeigh was basically operating with one or two buddies. There was no social media back then. I mean, there are still plenty of Timothy McVeighs in America, and they have a lot of weapons, and they have a lot of hate for government, and they have a lot of hate for anybody that opposes Donald Trump. And the FBI is listening in. We don't know how many times they've intervened to protect us, and Trump is going to dismantle the FBI. I mean, it just sends a shiver up your spine. But then the Democrats come back saying, our guy. And then you look at him and you're like, at what point does he reach a moment? And again, I can talk to this on a very personal nature. Being a caregiver for my mother who walked down the dementia path for a decade. I mean, at what point does Biden not remember a meeting that he had 30 minutes ago? I mean, do you want that as president? Who's in charge then? Who's making decisions then? And who's going to be transparent about it? Woodrow Wilson's wife basically ran his administration the last 2 years of his presidency, and we didn't know. But we didn't have social media then. We didn't have 24-hour news. Jill Biden's going to be running everything, and we're not going to know? I mean, come on, man.
Come on, man.
So, there's just a lot of venting. Summertime. You'll have time to grill some hamburgers and enjoy the beach and the lake, and then get back to the reality of this come fall, when these will be the two guys that the parties have come up with. And we independents, particularly in battleground states like Arizona, where I'm at, will be asked to make a pretty heavy decision. And we won't be welcomed in the parties that are demanding we vote for them. But nonetheless, we'll have a lot to consider. 2024, this is the best America can do. Let's do better. Or as Joe Biden would say, see you next time.
In the beginning, you have a new political party formed for one purpose: the end of slavery in America.
The party is led by arguably the best president in history, Abraham Lincoln. You would think this party grounded in equality would last forever, but you wouldn't have a story if it did. Jim Heath's new book, How the South Turned Red, From a Democratic Past to a Republican Present, takes you on the wild ride of how the party of Lincoln has truly become the party of Andrew Jackson, the first Democratic president, through the Civil War and the failed Reconstruction that followed, to the New Deal, Jim Crow, Harry Truman, and the Civil Rights Act that finally broke the back of Southern Democrats like Strom Thurmond. This fascinating journey through American history is now available worldwide. Order online from your favorite bookseller. Jim Heath's How the South Turned Red. Easily the best political read of 2024. Get your copy now.
Thank you for listening to the Jim Heath podcast. Be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel and be notified of our upcoming episodes. You can also check out Jim's latest book, How the South Turned Red, From a Democratic Past to a Republican Present at your favorite bookstore.